In this video, we're going to continue our conversation about bookmarks by focusing on the many ways that buttons can help you truly unlock the awesome power of bookmarks in Power BI. So let's imagine a very common Power BI scenario. You've just finished adding an important chart to a Power BI report, and your stakeholder says there's actually one more chart that they need. You tell them there are already so many data visuals on the page that there's just no room. And your stakeholder says, well, it's really important. They need to see both. You promise to make it work. And then the stakeholder says, by the way, they're going to want even more visuals later on. Great, you think. There are already too many visuals on this page as it is. So what do? This scenario happens all the time. The stakeholder wants to see a dozen visuals, but you only have room on the page to fit about 5 or 6. One solution to this dilemma is to use buttons and bookmarks to hide and reveal data visuals, just like I showed you how to hide and show the tutorial text box. Then we can use button actions to activate these bookmarks when a user clicks them, effectively swapping one visual with another. One important concept to swapping visuals is layering objects on top of each other. We touched on layering briefly in one of the previous lessons, and all you have to do is select an object and use the Format tab in Power BI to move objects to the foreground or send them to the background. In this bookmark example of swapping visuals, we want to layer the two visuals that we are interested in swapping directly on top of each other. Now that our two line charts are layered, the eye icon in the selection pane is going to help us swap the visuals. First, we're going to create a bookmark that will show the over time version of the line chart and hide the year-over-year line chart. Notice in the image which chart is revealed and which is hidden, referencing the eye icon in the selection pane. After that, we're going to create a second bookmark and change which version of the line chart is visible. Notice the eye icons in the selection pane and that they're reversed. Now, when users activate one bookmark, they will reveal one version of the line chart. And when they activate the other bookmark, they reveal the other line chart. Once you have prepared the bookmarks, you can create buttons that allow your users to switch back and forth quickly. Our first button is going to have a bookmark action that shows the over time line chart. And our second button is going to have a bookmark action that shows the year-over-year line chart. After that, we're 90% of the way done, but there's one more thing we can do with these buttons to improve the user experience. Another smart thing we can do is have the buttons indicate which bookmark is active. To do this, we need to create inactive and active buttons for each bookmark that we created. I usually make my inactive buttons gray and my active buttons larger and more colorful, so that a user knows which bookmark is turned on and which bookmark is turned off. Finally, we want to assign our bookmarks to inactive buttons because those are the buttons that we want users to click to switch between the two views. Once we have created the inactive and active versions of our button, it's time to layer them on top of each other. The reason we want to do this is that we want our bookmarks to swap our buttons at the same time they swap the line charts. Because Power BI gives all of your buttons the same name by default, it's a good idea to label your inactive and active buttons something like on or off in order to help keep them apart. I also recommend creating groups for your buttons so that you can always quickly find them. And if we've set everything up correctly, we can create a very cool illusion for the users of your reports. Note in the first image which visuals are active. Currently, our overtime line chart is visible along with the on button for the overtime button and the off button for the year-over-year line chart. Now notice what happens to the selection pane when we click the inactive button for the year-over-year line chart. Suddenly our selection pane is updated to instantly switch which items are visible and invisible. And now we can see the year-over-year line chart is active and the over time line chart is inactive. Combining bookmarks and buttons to give users more control over your report takes practice. However, being able to do this will make your reports feel much more organized. It'll help you fit more visuals into reports and generally create a better user experience. In the next demo video, I'll demonstrate how to set up Visual Swap bookmarks, and then you'll have a chance to try it yourself in the next exercise.